Hey guys, welcome back, and we have finally reached Master 1 this season. I have not really played for the last 2 weeks, but I wanted to finish this season off with going Master 1 as I have done times before, but I really like the deck that I am playing at the moment, and I was also able, I can quickly show you this on Untapped here, to get 78.5% win rate, up from, we started here from going back to Master 2 after D-ranking basically. Which the D-rank games are not here, are not recorded by Untapped GG, but managed to finish with a 87.5% win rate with the deck. Obviously, you can see this here. I went first a lot, but also went second and won that. So obviously, and I talked about this in a lot of my videos, it's also about luck, but obviously it's not all about luck, and you will, in general, if you do these, I don't know, 100 or 150 games that you need, or maybe 100 from Diamond 5 to Master 1, you will probably be 50-50 going first, going second, or roundabout being 50-50 most of the time. So it doesn't really matter that in some parts of the climb you will go first more, and in some parts of the climb you will go first less. And then once again, as I have shown you in past Master 1, Master 1, how should I say it, Master 1 results that I've talked about here on this channel, it doesn't really make that big of a difference whether you go first a lot or you go second a lot. Sometimes it doesn't really make a big difference, some decks being around about 55 to 45% win rate going first, going second. So not the big difference that everyone seems to think that going first and going second would make. We can quickly take a look at the deck I played. Obviously, I played a Snaker, which arguably is the strongest deck at the moment. I really love it. Here is the list I have used. I will also go at the end of the video over every card here, name by name. So if you want to copy that, then you can. Obviously, super strong even without the Bonfire. Bonfire would be additional copies of your Snaker Ash, but you don't really need that at this point. This deck is a bit less consistent, but what this gives you as an advantage is more space for non-engine. As you can see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, blop, 18, 19. There's 20 non-engine in here. Obviously, this is a bit much, but it works, to be honest. This is not the best ratio that you want to go for. I have watched a pack video recently where I talked about he always constructs his deck with 70-30 in mind, so 70% engine, 30% non-engine. Obviously this would be 50-50, but this is also due to the fact that there are cards like the Bonfire missing. With Bonfire we would be able to put out 3 non-engine hand traps or whatever, maybe Kurikara, and then just put in Bonfires, which Bonfires would then be more copies of the Snaker Ash. But the thing is, I've played this deck a lot now, and yes, you brick sometimes, but most of the time you will get one of your starters, which you have a lot of one-card starters. You have your Snaker Ash, which is obviously a starter. We have Poplar, which is a starter, not for the full combo, but it's mostly enough to basically slow down your opponent and then win the game with all the resource stuff that this deck is able to achieve. You have Triple Diabellstar, which is basically combo, not full combo, but a good start. And then obviously you will have other stuff in your hand, and then you have also Wanted, which is basically Diabellstar. So you have 12 cards that you can open, and you could also count the original Sinful Spoils, because then you would only need another normal summon, maybe one of your hand traps, and then this also would work. You always have to keep in mind that you don't start with one card in your hand, but obviously with more than one. So you can't really say, oh yeah, but original Sinful Spoils, if you open with that, you might not be able to activate it. True, I guess, but you only need one normal summon body, and that's not that hard to come by, right? And the good thing that you also have to keep in mind, if you, for example, only open one of your starters, or the like the weaker starters like the Poplar or the Diabellstar Black Witch, then this obviously means that you have a lot of your hand traps and non-engine stuff in your hand. So you are then even more able to, for example, infinite impermanent your opponent, maybe your opponent's Snaker Ash, because Snaker is definitely a deck that you will see on the ladder a lot, especially in Master, especially if you want to reach Master 1. But yeah, this is the list I was using. Definitely go for the World Sea Dragon Z Atlantis package, as the kill with this is very easy and very effectively and strong. Other than that, is there anything that I think you can basically not put in here? I think you don't need a Nightmare Unicorn if you don't want to, but this is at the moment the best thing that you can do with your IP Masquerena, because we are missing the SP Little Light, which would be the best thing if we would get her. But as of this point, I think the Unicorn is the best thing that you can go in with your IP Masquerena. So having the IP Masquerena here makes a lot of sense in my opinion. Other than that, you could cut down on some ratios here. Don't need 3 Triple Tactics Talents. You don't need 3 Diabell Star, even though I think it's by far the best ratio. You don't need 3 Popular, you can also go with 2, but I think 3 is better because you have so little engine. But other than that, I think everything else here is pretty mandatory, besides the Kurikara, I guess, which she's quite nice going second. You can easily search her with your Snake Eye Ash and then just go for tributing the whole field away. So she's really nice. I wouldn't put her out. But yeah, I use this list specifically, and as I already said, in the end, I will go over every card name by name so you can copy it if you want. We climb to Master 1 here. You can also see this here in the match history. We can quickly take a look at maybe one game, the last one I played. Not quite sure myself how this went. I think this was also a Pearly, or was it only the Pearly? It was Kashtira, I think. I've seen a lot of Kashtira opponents. I think Kashtira was the second most deck I saw after Snake Eyes, which is definitely understandable. Kashtira is a nice deck that can... Oh, I remember this game. I made a lot of misplays in this one, but we can take a look at this. This was not a bad game. So obviously this hand, let's quickly take a look at. This is pretty obvious, and it's basically what I just talked about with the deck profile. You have Snake Eyes Popular Normal Summon, which gets you into a nice board. In the end, you have a Triple Tactics Talents, which at the moment there are a lot of hand traps because everyone is playing Snake Eyes, or Super Heavy Samurai, who also have a lot of them. So this is most likely live. And then we have an Imperm and a Maxi to stop our opponent's next turn. So as you can see, even though we have the weaker Normal Summon, one card combo starter you could call him, we still have a good way to play the game, and we'll see this in a moment. We go Snake Eyes Popular Normal Summon, obviously get the original Symbol, not the Temple, because the Temple is less important. You want this first most of the time. We go into Linkuriboh, this pretty basic play at this moment. We won't be able to play around Nibiru with our hand. We could if he, for example, ashes something, or we can then look at the hand, obviously, but in terms of making an Appaloosa early or something, that won't work. So we can, or you might as well go for this bonus body here if you are not aware. Normal summoning this, going into a Linkuriboh, sets this in the spell and trap, and then you can send it away with this one here, generating you a bonus body basically. And this is what we are going to do here. And we are going for the Oak. Could have also gone for the Ash and then gotten another Poplar to the hand, summoning the Poplar, but the Oak is also able to revive this. So it's basically the same. The only advantage of the Oak, and that's why I choose the Oak here, is that we then have the Oak in rotation and can resummon her. Though you could also argue otherwise we would have the Ash in rotation. Okay, so I guess it doesn't really make it a big difference. It doesn't really make a difference. We are sending away these two. I always like to send away the Linkuriboh, just because in this case it's obviously very important for the following combo, but it's very important because the Linkuriboh cannot be used for an IP Mask Arena, and this is something you most of the time want to do at exactly this point here. So it's basically, this combo that you will see here is basically the same as if you would go Snake Eye Ash Normal Summon at the Poplar and then get a draw and Lockbirded, then you would reach the same endpoint, which you will reach with a Normal Summon Poplar, right? So we go Snake Eyes Flamberge Dragon, and then we send them away for the IP Mask Arena. Always send away the Linkuriboh because, as I already said, there are multiple reasons. The first reason being that you can easily make link summons and stuff with the level 1 bodies here. The second reason is when this thing is in the graveyard, you can then use it to dodge an Imperm on one of your level 1 monsters by tributing the level 1 monster as cost and summoning the Linkuriboh to the field. Getting back the Oak here, getting back this one, then we go into Promethean Princess, Bestower of Flames, which then we use to revive the Snake Eyes Flamberge Dragon, setting the IP Mask Arena into the spell and trap zone, and here comes the Nibiru. And as I already said, there was not really a way to play around this. The only option would have been if we would have gotten interrupted earlier here, and then could have Triple Tactic Talents this thing out of the hand, but weren't able to do that, so we get the nip here. Just so you know, you always want to nip a Snake Eye or then Fire King Snake Eye when that comes after the opponent has already used the Snake Eyes Flamberge Dragon, because otherwise he just gets two of the bodies back with the Flamberge, and together with the Nibiru token, this is then still Promethean Princess. So wait until the big dragon has resolved, because then you only get the token. Now I can go Triple Tactics Talents, obviously. We can take a look at the hand. I hope we see it here. We do. And you can see this hand here. It's this Zodiac Kashtira mix pile, and I'm seeing this and I'm like, okay, what can I do here? And I'm deciding to get away the Barrage, just because I'm reading the cards and I realize you can target one face-up card, you control, destroy it, and if you do a special summon one Zodiac monster from your deck. So I'm like, okay, this basically ensures that he cannot get rid of his Nibiru, and then he cannot special summon his Kashtira monsters, though now that I read it and realize that he will special summon a Zodiac monster from the deck, so it doesn't really make a big difference. Every other target would also not be very nice, because this gets him a Zodiac monster, there is another Zodiac monster, getting away a Fenrir or a Unicorn just gives him the opportunity to play the other one then if he can clear the field somehow. But the most unimportant point, I would say, is getting these away, because they can't be summoned because of the Nibiru and then because of the Zodiac Barrage. So I'm getting rid of the Barrage here. I'm not super familiar with Zodiac, and the cool thing is that now I know what I have to be prepared for, so I can plan my interruptions accordingly, or I could plan my interruptions accordingly. I obviously only have the infinite permanence. Normally I would drop the Maxi in the draw phase because of Kashtira. In this case I don't do it because he cannot special summon his Kashtira monsters, so I don't need to drop an early Maxi. He goes Zodiac Ram, and I don't know a lot about Zodiac, as I already said, but I know that they can go like XYZ with one body here, so I'm dropping the Maxi now. He goes, and this makes sense, I guess, goes into the Trident, which can quick effect pop a card on the field, and then just goes into the battle phase and does some damage and passes over to me. I think he did this very, very good. I think this was the best way for him to do it, giving me one card for one pop. This is quite effective. Unfortunately for him, I have an infinite impermanence, but I will misplay a bit here in this replay, but it doesn't really matter. I'm drawing a card, and now one thing that you always have to keep in mind when you're playing Snake Eye, once you have this card in the graveyard and you have not activated this turn, and you have at least one Snake Eye card or Diabellstar in the graveyard, then you always have access to your Snake Eye Ash, because you can banish this, shuffle one of your Snake Eye or Diabellstar cards back into the deck. In this case, I think the Oak, because we have a second Flamberge. And then you just get a Snake Eye Ash to the hand, and you can start your whole combo all over again. So once this is in the grave, you basically have follow-up all the time, which is, I think, one of the most insane things about this deck, that doing the basic combo just ensures that you have follow-up for the next turn that is in the graveyard, and it's a spell card, so it's pretty hard to get this out of there. I'm starting with the normal summon Poplar, just because I have the normal summon Poplar, and then I can go search this here. The one thing that you have to keep in mind is that you can only activate one effect of these, so if I go for this graveyard effect here of the Sinful Spoils, I will not be able to go for the hand effect. But as I already have a Poplar, I don't really need to get the Snake Eye Ash, because Snake Eye Ash would only get me another Poplar, and then I won't be able to use this here. So I can also do it like this and keep the follow-up in the graveyard for maybe next turn. I go and tribute this. The basic play, as always, to resummon wrong thing here, but I tribute this so I can get the Poplar into the grave, and then Poplar can set me the Snake Eyes Flamberge into the Spell and Trap, and then obviously if I send it away now, I can get 2 level 1 bodies back, right? So this is what I'm doing here. I'm getting an Ash, and then the Ash will probably grab me. Actually, I think I should have grabbed the Korikara, but I've grabbed like another Poplar. I should have grabbed the Korikara, to be honest, but because this can resummon something, and this can also summon from the hand, but I have only space for one more, so a Korikara would be more useful because at some point I obviously will interrupt this Zodiac Trident here, and then I could Korikara it. I'm going for a lot of bodies, and then going Snake Eye Ash, sending away to go to Flamberge. This I do because I want to force this Zodiac Trident's effect, because he can decide now whether he wants to put my pop my Flamberge with the Trident now. If he doesn't do it, I am able to either set the Nibiru or the Trident in the spell trap zone, and he does the absolute right thing. And because this is an ignition effect, I just can't go quick effect, put this in the spell trap. He decides that now is the best point to destroy my Flamberge Dragon, which is absolutely correct. I have used my Flamberge Dragon already, the bodies are already here, and now I am threatening to put something in the spell trap, so this is definitely the best point for him to use it right now. But I don't really care, because I have the Imperm, which I'm going to use here. And then I think I'm going to set the Nibiru in the spell trap. And at this point I realize that I might the problem that I'm facing now, I will show you in a moment. I said this here, the problem that I'm facing now, I'm looking for, can I kill him? Because obviously there's one card on the field, this is the Atlantis combo, but I am missing a body for the Atlantis combo, like one body. You would normally go into the World Dragon the Atlantis, but I need Link 4 for that, so I would have to use all of my fire guys here. And that's the problem, because, now let me think about this. This wouldn't even work if I'm basically missing bodies here to kill him, right? And as you can see right here, we can see this 5-3 isn't enough, right? So I'm searching in my exo deck and I'm like, shit, okay, if I would have gotten if I would have the princess still in the exo deck, this would work, but unfortunately it doesn't. So I decide to attack here, do a lot of damage, and then I think I go for a Hita here, if I remember this correctly. So explaining this, the first mistake I made here is using both Poplars. I should have used the Oak, because when my opponent kills my Poplar on his turn, I can then once again activate Poplar to set something into the spell and trap, the Flamebird Dragon. Now I have both of them in the grave, so he won't be able to get them into the grave on his turn because they are already there, so take the Oak. Then the reason why I went into the Hita, you can see the IP Masquerena isn't in here. I didn't want to go Nightmare Phoenix and destroy this, because why would I? This blocks an Imperm, so it can just stay there. There is no dark target. There's unfortunately also no Hita target. So I could have also go my Unicorn, spin this, but I don't want to spin this, and I want to keep the Flamebird on the field, because if this goes to the grave, I get my level 1 bodies back. So I go Hita, because if the Hita gets the Swerper Battle card effect, I can get another fire monster to the hand from my deck. So I think, okay, this is nice, and maybe I will be able to use it later. I set my Imperm here. Pass over, and at this time I'm going to drop the Maxine Dorphix, because I know he has Kashtira Unicorn and Fenrir in the hand. This is so nice. I know that there's a Zodiac card and Kashtira Unicorn and Fenrir. And I'm like, okay, I can stop this, no problem. This is so nice about Talents, because I know his hand, right? So he starts with a special summoning the Unicorn, giving me a card, and I go Promethean Princess to get rid of the Unicorn here. So my first interruption, basically, which is okay, because I still have the Imperm for whatever comes next. So we go Promethean, then obviously we go the Flamberge Dragon, resummoning the Poplar and the Ash. I think both can trigger, get me follow-up, which is the craziest part about this deck. And now I have my Ash here for follow-up and the Imperm, right? And obviously whatever I draw next from his summons. He goes special summon another Unicorn. So now the cards in his hand are Fenrir and the Zodiac, so he has drawn another Unicorn here. Fortunately, I have the Ash, which I use now, because I know there is no Kashtira Theosis here. I know both of the cards, so I can safely block this with an Ash. He can obviously now chain and rip something out of my extra deck. Goes for the Ambro Whale. I'm not quite sure why. I guess Axis Kotalka would have been wiser, but it's okay. And now I'm like, okay, we will probably just see a Zeus here, because this is the most obvious thing. So I'm letting him go. He can attack and banish my Poplar, which is quite nice. I won't get the Flame Birch Dragon back now, so that's nice. He goes and climbs up. I'm not quite sure if he needed to do it this often. So he could have also made a Zeus with less material, giving me less cards. Obviously, this is not something that you can really win if you give me these, the amount of cards that he gave me. I mean, look at my hand, yeah. But he goes into a Zeus here and then passes over, which I also think is quite clever, because he then basically forces me to commit more to the board in order to out the Zeus. Obviously, it's quite easy to out the Zeus. I can just go Princess into Flamebird into Threaten to put in the spell traps, alright. I think this is also what I'm doing here. So, and obviously, and once again, I think this is not the perfect way that I did it here, but I was pretty sure that I will just win here, so I just went for it. Obviously, he now could go remove something from my extra deck. I go Imperm here, because I realized it doesn't really matter. I don't really need to Imperm the Zeus, because I can go Imperm Zeus, but he can always quick effect Zeus and wipe everything, so it doesn't really make a difference for me. This is quite clever. He goes Zeus now, so that the Unicorn is no longer on the field when the effect resolves, so my Imperm will not hit the Unicorn. I wasn't thinking about this. As I already said, he made better plays than I did, but I just, had the upper hand throughout the game. He goes Axis Kotalka, makes sense, and then I can just resummon the little snake eye guys. I think at this point he didn't really realize the fact that I had a Kurikara in hand, which he knew about the Kurikara. He has seen me adding it, so I think the right thing to do here for him was to activate the Zeus here, because then at least he could have cleared 2 of my bodies. Obviously he lost already, because now I can just go Kurikara, right, and the game is over. Just to quickly show you maybe a game and my thought process behind playing this deck, there are a lot of things that you can do right and a lot of things that you can do wrong with this deck, but all in all, it's definitely the strongest deck in the room right now and will be for quite a while, especially because we are still getting the Bonfire, and then the Fire King stuff will come, and this deck will just be... This will be it. So if you like the deck, definitely invest in it, because it will be here for a long time, I guess. Might be the case that Konami just kills it, but I wouldn't know why they would do this, because there is support coming for this. So now to the card by card. We have 1 Effect Veiler, 1 Druid Lockbird, 1 Jetsunicorn, 1 Kurikara, 3 Snake Eye Ash, 1 Snake Eye Oak, 3 Snake Eye Poplar, 3 Maxi, 3 Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, 3 Diabellstar Black Witch, 2 Snake Eyes from Bird Dragon, 2 Nibiru the Primal Being, 1 for 1, 3 Triple Tactic Talents, this is very mandatory, 2 Original Sympho-Spoiled Snake Eye, 1 Divine Temple of the Snake Eye, 2 Called by the Grave, 1 Crosser Designator, 3 Wanted Seeker of Sympho Spoils, 3 Infinite Impermanence, 1 Formula Synchron, 1 Borreload Savage Dragon, 1 Baron, 1 Linkuriboh, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Heater the Fire Charmer Ablaze, 1 IP Masquerena, 1 the Dark Charmer Gloomy, 1 Sprite Elf, 1 Nightmare Unicorn. Sprite Elf is really nice for having a very strong 1-card Ash combo that you can see in my Snake Eyes guide. Then Promethean Princess Bestower of Flames, 1 Amphibious Stormshield of Ember Whale, 1 Appaloosa, 1 Exco Talker, and 1 World Sea Dragon Zealantis. You could go and put another Promethean Princess in here, and then maybe, let me think about what you could put out here. I like the Nightmare Phoenix. It's not super mandatory. I like the Dark for grabbing like a Diabellstar, but it's also not super mandatory. I guess the thing that I would... Yeah, I guess I would put the Nightmare Phoenix out, but the Nightmare Phoenix is quite nice and also supports the kill combo with the Zealantis, so I think this is quite fine, but putting a second Promethean Princess here is also cool. So this is the deck, this was the climb. Let me know in the comments what you think. How was your climb? Which deck did you use? Have you faced a lot of Snake Eye, or maybe are you still at the climb here on the, I think it's the last day of the month, the last day of the ladder? Then I wish you all the luck reaching Master 1. Thanks for being here. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, hitting the thumbs up and the notification bell, and we will see each other in the next one.